Good morning. This is the beginning of day 12, and I wanted to record some thoughts on a conversation between Elizabeth Streb and Bogart that we got to hear last night. Elizabeth Streb is a cool human, man. I'm really inspired by what she is doing and just like her philosophy on making things. She said last night, don't have a plan B. Yes, because if you don't have a plan B, you do plan A. Like you figure out how to do it. Gotta be like water. Water goes from A to B. Like it doesn't matter how. If water's up at the top of the hill and you pour it out, it's gonna go down. It's gonna find a way. And it's easy too. Like it just finds the way. It just finds the path. Don't have a plan B. Cool, man. So just find, also, this was Elizabeth, find what you love most, what interests you most, and commit your life to it. When she was little, she was really interested in action and, and machines. And then she created a whole, amazing life out of it. To find what you love most and interests you most and commit your life to it. And I think I know, I just have BS that's in the way of it, that I'm afraid to be like, here it is. But this training and this being around all these people and all these conversations that I'm having with all the people that are here are helping me be like, oh, of course, it's right there. So I'm getting closer to being able to see what my machines in action are. Anne talked about coming from a military background and that her grandfather was I forget the position in the military, but he was in charge of a lot of people. And he was Navy, I think Navy. I don't know anything about the military, hardly at all. But I think he was some sort of officer in the Navy. And there would be oh, my brain words are, no one's watching. I'm just talking in my room. There'd be a submarine that would be sinking. And he would always go to sleep when there was a battle. And someone would come knocking on his door and say, there's a machine, there's a submarine sinking, and you'd be like, why did you wake me up? You know the plan, you know what the plan is. And you'd go back to sleep. And that he was someone that created strategy, and if the strategy is strong, the people will know what to do, and they won't be panicking. So, just interesting, and creates strategies for her actors. She creates parameters, and then you play in that, and you're safe. You know what to do, and the task will be achieved. It's interesting to look at it from that point of view. Looking at my notes. Oh, Streb, she rode her motorcycle from New York to San Francisco when she was in her early 20s. She had $80 or something silly of just no money. And she said, I just had to figure out this one day, don't worry about the rest of your life. Which is cool. What do you want to do right now? Go, do it. And I think we get really caught up, I get very caught up in but what are my goals? What am I going to achieve? And it's well, don't really necessarily worry about that. What do you want to do right now? Which is funny because I'm also talking about just find what interests you and do it. But also, yeah, follow your curiosity. You don't have to make a full life plan. The moderator, the person asking questions, asked, what are your mission statements to both of them? And both of them were I don't have that. Which is so cool because they've achieved such an amazing thing, but they're not setting out to grab onto a particular thing. Anne said, when something gives you goosebumps, go there. That's like magic stuff. That's like magic creativity, little beings, like little creative. I believe that creativity is like magic, like gusts of magic that come into you, and they're just trying to work with you. This is something from Elizabeth Gilbert has a book. I think it's called something like Magic, or The Magic of Creativity or something. And so I got this idea, I got this clarified through hearing this, through reading her book. I believe creativity is something that is like a different being that like floats around in the universe and is looking for someone to work with to actualize what they are wanting to create. And so this feeling of goosebumps, this feeling of curiosity towards something, go there, because I think that's like a creativity knocking on your door. You gotta follow like your goosebumps. That's great in acting. In acting, follow things that will give you goosebumps. Like, how fun. If you're in a rehearsal, what's gonna give you goosebumps and excited and curiosity? Do that. And then like see what comes out of that. Ooh. Streb says something about her early dancing, and she said the beauty of that was that I didn't know I couldn't dance. It's awesome. Don't like shut things off for yourself in the world. Don't say like I can't do that. I can't do that. Like, she didn't know that she wasn't a great modern dancer, but that thing led her to like her real. Which is cool. Oh, Anne talked about. Says all theaters asking the question, how are we getting along? How are we getting along? I went down on my, doesn't matter how I said it. All theaters ask the question, how are we getting along? And she says that there are 2 plays that anyone in the audience is observing. How are they getting along on stage? They're watching that and analyzing that. How are the actors, how's the story, how are the people in the story getting along? And they're observing the audience. How are these people getting along? How are they responding to this? What is the world out here? There's 2 plays. And I think it's so interesting when the audience is like, you can feel that energy. It's why live theater is so exciting. So we have to ask, why do we do theater? What are we trying to say about how are we getting along? Oh, find what works for you, find what doesn't, use that information. Oh, I think I'm just writing this. This wasn't necessarily from a particular thing they said, but I've like hammered into myself, you're not good at this, you're not good at this, you're not good at this, you're unorganized, you're late, I have a thing about the late. I don't know if I talked about that in another video, but anyways, there's all these things that I've said, like, you're bad at that thing, and I like really highlight like what's bad, but find what works and just like leave the rest over there. Use that information. Stop wasting time. Elizabeth Streb notebooks in her documentary, they're just like crazy hieroglyphic, crazy madness. Her house has like books and papers everywhere and tapes and just stuff everywhere. And yet she's like creating something very specific. But her method of doing it is like, looks wild from the outside. That's okay. Find what works for you. Oh, so good. Elizabeth said, you are more curious about your fear than afraid of your fear. Or you should be. Be curious. Oh, Anna talking about how she created her company, how she found the people for City Company. She said so many times she would be she would come in the room, do a rehearsal, everyone would leave, and she'd be the last in the room. She'd come in the room, everyone would come in for rehearsal, everyone would leave, she'd be the last in the room. And then after a long time, somebody stayed. Somebody stayed in the room. And the conversation unfolded, and all these things came out of it, and kept working and playing. And it was the people who stayed in the room that she created those relationships with and built City Company with. So if you want to work with someone, if you're excited about somebody, stay in the room. Keep the conversation going. Cool. Anne keeps saying she's a scavenger, which is so cool. She's not trying to create brand new things. She's going, I'm really excited about this. This is interesting. This is giving me goosebumps. And so is this thing over here. What happened if we did this with them? And put it over there, because that place is might be really wild and interesting. Goosebumps, follow your goosebumps. She's not creating brand new things. She's Mod Podging. She's a glue to all these Mod Podges. Oh, and Elizabeth is just blown away by seeing the City Company members in her piece. Just so cool. They're working on a piece called Falling and Loving. And Elizabeth was just blown away. She was like, oh, just the way the actors say the words, and they're moving, and they mean it. It's unlike any other actor she's ever seen before. And it's just like the way she said that too. They're moving and they're speaking and they mean it, because all this thing that we're doing with the Suzuki is learning how to breathe and the words come out and be full. And control and articulation of the breath, the center, and the energy. And practicing those three things, you can really create something amazing. And that's exactly what you pointed out. They're moving and they're speaking. Talking about the word delight, what delights you. Follow what delights you. It is walking into the unknown is what is hard. It costs you something. The person who walks out will not be the same as the one who walks in. That's from Anne. You have to be more curious than your fear. You have to have more curiosity than fear. Which was a play off of something that Elizabeth said. They're so inspired by each other. It's just wonderful. It was really, really neat to listen to them both in the room.